Everyone I've met knows someone affected by heart disease, and maybe it's someone close to them, maybe it's someone that's a friend of a friend. Everyone knows someone impacted by heart disease.
I had 2 teammates giving me CPR. One was on the phone with 911. Another teammate was moving furniture to make room for the paramedics.
Unfortunately, there's a clock on the wall there, and the hands just would not move at a normal pace.
The ambulance came and took my grandma, and I didn't realize until the next day that she had had a heart attack.
As I kind of came to, I heard him counting, 4 or 5, and I'm like, what are you counting? He said, blockages.
In my desperation, I turned to the doctor and I said, do something, you have to do something. What about the heart transplant?
By the time I was in the ambulance, I asked the guy if I was gonna die.
Hope's the organization that saved my dad's life. That's probably the most personal aspect of it to me. And, without the Hope, my dad wouldn't be here. Well, I was in a taxi cab and I started to get this tightness in my heart, and I'd had it before, but it had always gone away.
Now it got a little worse, and I was home alone at that point.
I had a pain basically back here, back behind my arm, and it was weird.
It felt like it would be tightening up, and then it felt like somebody would be stabbing me.
Kind of complained to one of my teammates in my room that I had felt lightheaded. And I guess the next thing she realized that I had just collapsed. I slumped off my bed.
I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. And they diagnosed him with 5 heart defects.
He didn't know he had heart disease. He passed all his stress tests. Everything was fine.
Because of the way I landed, they thought I was joking. But then once they flipped me over, realized that I was actually purple.
He looked, the best that he'd looked in a long time, and he took a turn for the worst 2 days in.
One of the guys in the cab picked me up and laid me across the back of the cab, and the bell guy told him to take me to the Northwestern Hospital, which was only about 5 or 6 blocks from our hotel, and went into the emergency room and tried to figure out what was going on.
And of course then it all set in that he was going to have open heart surgery, and how were we going to tell the kids that?
7 years ago, just a normal day, picking my mother up for breakfast that we planned, and found her passed away.
It was a really emotional time, and it wasn't just a decision that Dad wanted to make. He wanted to make sure that it was right for the whole family.
My grandparents took a trip to Hawaii, and I was woken up at, I think, 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning home from college with the news that she had passed away.
My mother-in-law called up at 6 in the morning, and I answered the phone, and she was screaming, "Carl is dead, Carl is dead." And I was just thinking, well, I just saw him 2 days ago.
Ultimately his heart was just too weak to continue to function. And so my dad passed away, and for me, I was lucky because I got to be with him and be a part of it. But it's hard to let your dad go.
And I just pictured this man who I loved, just adored, sitting all alone. First time he had been alone. They'd been married 55, 56 years. Sitting alone in a coffee shop. And that struck me then, and it does today, what heart disease does. It takes the person and it impacts the families. And when we say all those affected by heart disease, that's what comes into my mind.
The Hope Heart Institute has done a great job for a number of years in both research as far as cardiovascular disease and education of the public in cardiovascular disease.
Our goal is to keep people out of the operating room, to keep them from becoming patients in the first place. And that's really what our education programs do. They work upstream, and they teach children how to do those things that we all know we're supposed to do. As children, they're taking those messages, they're taking them to heart, and they're taking them home.
Every dollar our donors give us, we can turn that into hundreds and thousands of dollars in potential savings in healthcare costs down the road.
We are now known nationally as a model of extraordinary curriculum, and to be able to expand that across the country, we now have the capability of doing that. We don't have the funding to do that.
Everybody in this room, unfortunately, the odds are will be negatively impacted by cardiovascular disease.
I shouldn't be here today. And I'm only here today because of the work that's been done by places like the Hope Heart. And so, boy, if you can ever give something back, I'm the person who wants to do it. Hope is the most important human feeling you can possibly have. Hope defines what we want to be, what we'd like to be, what we feel we can be.
The things that we can hope for in the future aren't possible without research and education.
When you have hope that things can get better, or that you can do something, you can change something, I think that that's a really powerful feeling.
You're the ones that allow us to do this incredible work every day, and as someone who works here, I want you to feel that you are the hope. You are part of the incredible work we do. And I just feel very thankful that we've got supporters who make this work possible and that you're a part of it.
Hope to me means that someday, you know, my children and my friends' children will have the resources to be able to change the future.
We're battling the #1 cause of death, not only in America, but in the world. And that's such a big job to do. And we have to have hope. There is hope!